Welcome to the fascinating world of Jefferson 5-cent coins, where everyday nickels turn into hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. At first glance, it's just a simple coin in your pocket, but look closer, and you'll find history, rare mint errors, and surprising value hiding in plain sight. From the iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson to the famous Monticello design, every Jefferson nickel tells a story of American heritage and craftsmanship. Some carry rare dates, unusual strikes, and mint mistakes that collectors are willing to pay serious money for. In this channel, we uncover the secrets behind Jefferson nickels, what makes them valuable, how to spot rare ones, and why some 5-cent coins have sold for thousands of dollars in auctions. The 1982 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark was struck at the Denver Mint in very large numbers. Millions of these coins entered circulation, and even today, they are still commonly found in everyday change. Most examples, especially in circulated condition, are worth only 5 cents. They are often scratched, slightly worn, and overlooked without a second thought. But here's where the story becomes interesting. During the minting process, coins are produced at incredibly high speeds, and even the smallest mechanical issue can create something completely different. These are known as mint errors or rare die varieties, and they are the reason why some coins become highly valuable. What looks like a damaged or unusual coin to the average person might actually be a rare and collectible piece. Now, imagine holding a 1982D Jefferson nickel that has been in circulation for years. It has scratches across its surface, the design is slightly worn, and the shine is mostly gone. It doesn't look special at all. But then you notice something unusual. The lettering might appear slightly off. The surface could have an odd texture. The design might not be perfectly aligned, or there may be subtle doubling in certain areas. These details are exactly what collectors look for. One possible feature that can dramatically increase value is a strong doubled die error. This occurs when the coin's design is impressed more than once in slightly different positions during the die creation process, causing visible doubling in the letters or numbers. If this doubling is clear and strong, it can make the coin highly desirable, even in circulated condition. Another possibility is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned when struck, resulting in a design that is shifted away from the center. The more dramatic the shift, the more attention it attracts, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible. There is also the chance of a clipped planche or a miscut coin, where part of the coin is missing due to an error in the blank cutting process. These coins are immediately noticeable and often bring strong interest from collectors. And then there are rare surface or composition anomalies. Sometimes, issues during the metal preparation or striking process can create unusual textures, missing layers, or inconsistent finishes that stand out from normal coins. Now imagine a 1982D Jefferson nickel that combines one or more of these rare features. Even though it is circulated, scratched, and worn, the uniqueness of the error becomes far more important than the condition. This is where the coin transforms from something ordinary into something extraordinary. For a coin like this to reach a value of around $40,000, it would need to be exceptionally rare and clearly identifiable. It wouldn't be a small or subtle error. It would be something strong, something that immediately catches the eye of experienced collectors. Coins that reach this level are often one of a kind or extremely limited in number, which is why they attract such high bids. Now picture this coin appearing in a major auction. At first, it might not look impressive to everyone. It is scratched, circulated, and far from perfect. But collectors who understand error coins begin to study it closely. They recognize the rarity. They compare it to known examples. They realize this is not something you find every day. The bidding begins. It starts at a modest level, perhaps a few $100s. Then it climbs. $1,000, $5,000, $10, zeroth. As more collectors join in, the excitement builds. Each bidder knows that this coin could be a rare opportunity. The price continues to rise, $20,000, $30,000, and finally reaches $40,000. All for a coin that most people would have spent without even thinking. This is the power of rarity in coin collecting. But it's important to understand one key point. Not every scratched or unusual-looking nickel is valuable. In fact, most coins that show wear, damage, or discoloration are simply affected by circulation. These types of issues, known as post-mint damage, do not increase value and often reduce it. The real value comes from errors that happen during the minting process itself. So how can you tell the difference? It starts with careful observation. Mint errors tend to look natural and consistent as part of the coin's original production. Post-mint damage, on the other hand, often appears random, uneven, or forced. If you think you have found something unusual, the best step is to have the coin examined by a professional grading service. They can confirm whether it is a genuine mint error and provide an official certification. That certification can make a huge difference. It builds trust with buyers and can significantly increase the coin's market value. And here's the most exciting part. Coins like this can still be out there. They could be sitting in old jars, tucked away in drawers, or even mixed in with everyday change. Many people overlook nickels because they seem too common to be valuable. But as we've seen, even a modern coin like the 1982D Jefferson nickel can hold incredible potential under the right circumstances. Next coin, the 1989 Jefferson nickel with a D mint mark. A coin that most people see as ordinary, scratched, and worn from circulation might actually hold a hidden story that collectors are willing to pay thousands for. The 1989D Jefferson nickel was minted at the Denver Mint in very large numbers. Millions of these coins entered everyday circulation, and even today, they are still easy to find. Most examples, especially in circulated very good condition with scratches and signs of wear, are worth only their face value, just 5 cents. They pass through hands every day without any attention, often forgotten in change jars or lost between couch cushions. But here's where things take a surprising turn. In the world of coin collecting, value is not always about age or shine. Sometimes, it's about what went wrong during the minting process. Coins are produced at extremely high speeds, and even a tiny mistake can create something unique. These mistakes, known as mint errors or rare die varieties, can transform an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. Now, imagine holding a 1989D Jefferson nickel that looks slightly different. It's been in circulation, so it has scratches, light wear, and a dull surface. But something catches your eye. Maybe the lettering looks slightly doubled. Maybe the design seems shifted. Maybe the surface texture is uneven or unusual. These small details can make a big difference. One of the most valuable features to look for is a doubled die error. This occurs during the creation of the coin's die, when the design is impressed more than once at slightly different angles. The result is visible doubling in the letters or numbers. On a circulated coin, this might not be obvious at first, but under closer inspection, it can stand out clearly. Strong doubled die examples are highly collectible and can command significant prices. Another possibility is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned during minting, causing the design to shift away from the center. If the error is large enough and the date and mint mark remain visible, collectors consider it very desirable. There are also other types of errors, such as die cracks, clipped planchets, or unusual surface anomalies caused during production. Each of these errors tells a story about what went wrong at the mint, and that story is what makes the coin valuable. Now imagine a 1989D nickel that combines one of these rare features with clear visibility. Even though the coin is circulated and shows scratches and wear, the error becomes the main focus. Collectors are not looking for perfection. They are looking for uniqueness. This is how a simple nickel can reach a value of $35,000. For a coin to achieve that kind of price, it would need to be extremely rare and visually striking. It wouldn't be a minor or barely noticeable error. It would be something that immediately stands out, something that experienced collectors can recognize as special. Coins at this level are often one of a kind or part of a very limited group, which creates strong competition in the market. Now, picture this coin appearing in an auction. At first, it might not attract much attention. It looks worn, scratched, and far from perfect. But then collectors begin to notice the unusual feature. They examine the details, compare it with known examples, and realize this is not an ordinary 1989D nickel. The bidding begins. It starts at a few $100s, then quickly rises as more collectors join in. $1,000 becomes $5,000, then $10, zeroth. The excitement builds as the rarity becomes clear. $20,000, $30,000, and finally, after intense competition, the coin reaches $35,000. All for a coin that most people would have spent without a second thought. That's the incredible part of coin collecting. But there's something very important to understand. Not every scratched or unusual-looking coin is valuable. In fact, most coins that show wear, damage, or discoloration are simply affected by circulation. This type of damage, known as post-mint damage, does not increase value and often reduces it. The real value comes from errors that occurred during the minting process itself. So how can you tell the difference? It starts with careful observation. Mint errors usually appear as part of the coin's original design and are consistent across the surface. Post-mint damage, on the other hand, often looks random, uneven, or forced. If you think you've found something unusual, it's always a good idea to have the coin examined by a professional grading service. These experts can confirm whether it is a genuine mint error and provide certification. That certification is important because it builds trust with buyers and can significantly increase the coin's value in the market. And here's the most exciting part. You don't have to be a professional to start looking. Next coin. The 2023 Jefferson 5-cent coin with a D mint mark, circulated, scratched, and in fine condition. Most people would never even consider looking twice at such a modern nickel. But in the world of rare coin collecting, even new coins can surprise you in the biggest way. The 2023 Jefferson nickel from the Denver Mint is part of the modern production series that is still actively being released into circulation. Millions of these coins are produced and distributed every year, and almost all of them are worth exactly 5 cents. They are used daily, ignored, spent, and forgotten. In circulated fine condition, especially when they show scratches, wear, and dull surfaces, they do not seem special at all. To the average person, it is just another nickel. But coin collectors see something very different. Even in modern minting, where technology is highly advanced, mistakes can still happen. Coins are struck at extremely high speeds, and when millions of coins are being produced, even a tiny error can create something rare. These mistakes are called mint errors, and they are the key reason why a simple-looking coin can suddenly become extremely valuable. Now, imagine holding a 2023 D Jefferson nickel that looks normal at first. It has been in circulation, so it shows signs of use. The surface has scratches, the shine is gone, and the details are slightly worn. It looks like every other nickel in your pocket. But then you notice something unusual. Maybe the design appears slightly misaligned. Maybe the lettering looks doubled in certain areas. Maybe the surface has a strange texture or an unusual strike pattern that doesn't match normal coins. These small differences are where value begins. One of the most important possibilities is a doubled die error. This happens when the design is impressed onto the die more than once but not perfectly aligned. The result is visible doubling in parts of the coin, such as the lettering, numbers, or even Jefferson's portrait. Even on a circulated coin, strong doubling can be noticeable and highly attractive to collectors. Another possibility is an off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank is not properly positioned during the minting process, causing the design to shift away from the center. If the shift is strong and the important details like the date and mint mark are still visible, collectors often see it as valuable. There is also the possibility of die cracks or die breaks. As minting dies wear down over time, they can develop cracks that transfer onto the coins being struck. These cracks appear as raised lines or unusual marks across the surface of the coin. While minor examples are common, dramatic or unusual ones can significantly increase collector interest. Sometimes there can even be rare planchet errors, where the coin is struck on a blank that has a defect or was not properly prepared. This can create unusual thickness, color variations, or surface irregularities that make the coin stand out. Now imagine a 2023 D Jefferson nickel that carries one of these rare features. Even though it is scratched and circulated in fine condition, the error becomes the most important part of the coin. Collectors are not focused on how new or shiny it is. They are focused on how different it is. This is how a modern nickel can reach a value of $10,000. For a coin to achieve that level, it would need to be a strong, clearly visible, and confirmed mint error. It would not be a small or questionable detail. It would be something obvious enough that experienced collectors immediately recognize its rarity. In modern coin collecting, such pieces are extremely desirable because they are hard to find and often appear unexpectedly. Now, picture this coin being offered in an auction. At first, it might not look impressive. It is a modern coin, circulated, scratched, and far from perfect. But collectors begin to take a closer look. They examine the details under magnification, compare it with other known examples, and slowly realize that this is not a normal 2023 D nickel. The bidding begins. It starts at a few $100s. Then it climbs. $1,000, $3,000, $5, zeroth. The excitement builds as more collectors enter the competition. Each bidder understands that even though the coin is modern, it might be something extremely rare. The price continues to rise, $7,000, $9,000, and finally reaches $10,000. All for a coin that most people would have spent without thinking twice. That's the amazing truth about coin collecting. But there is something very important to understand. Not every scratched or worn coin is valuable. In fact, most coins that show signs of circulation are simply affected by everyday use. This is called post-mint damage, and it does not increase value. In most cases, it reduces it. The real value comes from mistakes made during the minting process itself. So how can you tell if your coin is special? It starts with careful observation. Look closely at the design, the lettering, and the surface. Check for doubling, misalignment, unusual textures, or anything that looks different from a normal nickel. If something stands out, it may be worth further investigation. The best and most reliable step is professional grading. Coin experts can examine the piece under magnification, confirm whether it is a true mint error, and certify its authenticity. That certification is extremely important because it builds trust among collectors and can significantly increase the coin's value. Next coin. The 2013 Jefferson nickel with a P mint mark. A coin that looks scratched, slightly worn, and completely ordinary could secretly hold a story that collectors are willing to pay thousands for. The 2013 P. Jefferson nickel was minted at the Philadelphia Mint in very large numbers. Millions of these coins were produced and released into circulation, making them extremely common. Even today, they are still found everywhere, in grocery store change, vending machines, and everyday transactions. Most examples, especially in circulated fine condition with visible scratches and wear, are worth exactly 5 cents. Nothing special, nothing rare, just another coin doing its job. But here's where things take a surprising turn. Even modern coins are not perfect. During the minting process, machines operate at high speeds, and even a small malfunction can create a completely different result. These mistakes are known as mint errors, and they are the key reason why an ordinary coin can suddenly become valuable. Now, imagine holding a 2013 P. Jefferson nickel that doesn't look quite right. It's been in circulation, so it has light scratches and a worn surface. But something stands out. Maybe the design looks slightly off-center. Maybe the lettering appears doubled. Maybe the surface shows an unusual texture or a strange color variation. These small differences can mean everything. One of the most valuable possibilities is a doubled die error. This occurs when the design is imprinted onto the die more than once in slightly different positions, causing visible doubling on the coin. This doubling can appear in the date, the lettering, or even parts of the portrait. Even in circulated condition, a strong doubled die can attract serious collector attention. Another exciting feature is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned during minting, causing part of the design to be shifted. The more dramatic the shift, the more valuable the coin can become, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible. There is also the possibility of a clipped planche, where a portion of the coin is missing due to an error in the metal cutting process. These coins are easy to spot and often highly collectible because of their unusual shape. Sometimes, there are even more subtle errors like die cracks or surface anomalies that create raised lines or unusual textures across the coin. While minor examples may not be worth much, strong and clear versions can increase the coin's value significantly. Now, imagine a 2013 P nickel that combines one of these rare features with clear visibility. Even though it is circulated and shows signs of wear, the uniqueness of the error becomes the most important factor. Collectors are not looking for perfect coins. They are looking for coins that tell a story. This is how a simple nickel can reach a value of $15,000. For a coin to achieve that kind of price, it would need to be rare, visually striking, and confirmed as a genuine mint error. It wouldn't be a small or barely noticeable flaw. It would be something that immediately stands out and catches the attention of experienced collectors. Coins at this level are often very limited in number, which creates strong demand. Now, picture this coin appearing in an auction. At first, it may not seem impressive. It's scratched, worn, and clearly circulated. But collectors begin to notice the unusual feature. They examine the images closely, comparing it to known error types. Slowly, the realization spreads. This is not an ordinary coin. The bidding begins. It starts at a few $100s, then climbs quickly. $1,000, $3,000, $5, zeroth. The excitement grows as more collectors join in. Each bidder knows they might be looking at something rare. The price continues to rise, $10,000, $12,000, and finally reaches $15,000. All for a coin that once looked completely ordinary. That's the magic of coin collecting. But there's something very important to understand. Not every scratched or unusual-looking coin is valuable. In fact, most coins that show wear or damage are simply affected by circulation. This type of damage, known as post-mint damage, does not add value and often reduces it. The real value comes from errors that occur during the minting process itself. So how can you tell the difference? It starts with careful observation. Mint errors usually appear as part of the original design and have a consistent look. Post-mint damage often looks random, uneven, or forced. If you think you've found something unusual, it's always best to have the coin checked by a professional grading service. They can confirm whether it is a genuine error and provide certification. That certification can make a huge difference. It gives collectors confidence and can significantly increase the coin's value in the market. And here's the most exciting part. You don't have to go far to start looking. Next coin. The 2016 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark was produced at the Denver Mint in very large numbers. Millions of these coins entered circulation and they're still everywhere today. You can find them in grocery store change, vending machines, or even sitting unnoticed in a drawer. Most examples, especially in circulated fine condition with light scratches and wear, are worth exactly 5 cents. No one pays attention to them, and they are often ignored without a second thought. But here's where everything changes. Even with modern technology, coin production is not perfect. Coins are struck at high speeds using powerful machines, and sometimes small errors occur. These errors are rare, but when they happen, they can turn an ordinary coin into something very special. These are called mint errors, and they are one of the main reasons collectors search through everyday coins. Now imagine holding a 2016 D Jefferson nickel that looks just a little different. It's been in circulation, so it has scratches and a slightly dull surface. But something feels off. Maybe the design doesn't look perfectly centered. Maybe the letters or numbers seem slightly doubled. Maybe the surface shows an unusual texture or a color variation that stands out. These small details can mean everything. One of the most valuable possibilities is a doubled die error. This happens during the creation of the coin's die, when the design is impressed more than once at slightly different angles. The result is visible doubling in the lettering or the date. Even on a circulated coin, strong doubling can be easy to spot and highly attractive to collectors. Another exciting feature is an off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank is not properly aligned when it is struck, causing part of the design to shift. The more noticeable the shift, the more valuable the coin can become, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible. There is also the possibility of a clipped planchet error. This happens when the metal blank is cut incorrectly before the coin is struck, leaving a missing section. These coins are immediately recognizable because of their unusual shape and are often highly collectible. In some cases, there may be die cracks or unusual surface textures caused during production. These can appear as raised lines or irregular patterns across the coin. While small examples may not be very valuable, strong and clear ones can increase interest significantly. Now imagine a 2016 D Jefferson nickel that has one of these rare features. Even though it is circulated and shows signs of wear, the error becomes the most important part of the coin. Collectors are not just looking for perfect coins. They are looking for coins that are different, coins that tell a story. This is how a simple nickel can reach a value of $12,000. For a coin to reach that level, it would need to be rare, clearly identifiable, and visually striking. It wouldn't be a small or subtle flaw. It would be something that stands out immediately and grabs attention. Coins like this are often very limited in number, which creates strong demand among collectors. Now picture this coin appearing in an auction. At first, it may not look impressive. It is scratched, worn, and clearly circulated. But collectors begin to notice the unusual feature. They study it closely, comparing it to known examples. Slowly, they realize this is not an ordinary 2016 D nickel. The bidding begins. It starts at a few $100s, then quickly rises. $1,000, $3,000, $6, zeroth. The excitement builds as more collectors join in. Each bidder knows they might be looking at something rare. The price continues to climb. $8,000, $10,000, and finally reaches $12,000. All for a coin that once looked completely ordinary. That's the power of rarity. But there's something very important to understand. Not every scratched or unusual-looking coin is valuable. In fact, most coins that show wear or damage are simply affected by circulation. This type of damage, known as post-mint damage, does not increase value and often reduces it. The real value comes from errors that happen during the minting process itself. So how can you tell the difference? It starts with careful observation. Mint errors usually appear as part of the coin's original design and have a consistent look. Post-mint damage often looks random or uneven. If you think you've found something unusual, the best step is to have it examined by a professional grading service. These experts can confirm whether it is a genuine mint error and provide certification. That certification can make a huge difference. It gives collectors confidence and can significantly increase the coin's value in the market. And here's the most exciting part. You don't need to be an expert to start looking.